authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us. From personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation.
Now, they might have been state level crimes, but they're not, like we keep having to go back to. They didn't charge Diddy in the state. They're charging him in the federal court. So let's bring up some federal type shit here.
No enterprise. They weren't expecting that answer.
Did they say what he did?
No, they moved on fast from it because that is a bombshell. They asked the question that they didn't know the answer to. That Cassie had told someone that, look, I did not want to participate in the freak offs. I did not want to go to the hotel. So instead of the jury trying to infer that that's what she felt and didn't want to participate in this freak offs, now you have it coming out of her own mouth while it's taking place. She's telling someone else, and Deontay Nash came off very credible. But I want to spin off to another question that was asked of Deontay Nash. Was asked to in cross-examination, and which was a bombshell for the defense. When asked whether Deontay Nash, whether he was an employee of the enterprise, yes. He got paid by Bad Boy, yes. Did you participate in any criminal activity under Mr. Combs? Yes. Huge bombshell.
Okay, but what? What are the crimes? He could have been fucking jaywalking across the street. What's the crime? Trying to hurry up and get Diddy one of them motherfucking Manhattan pies that nigga be eating. That he had the making of the band stars trying to go get. They had to walk a country mile across New York City to go get that shit. What was the fucking crime? There's petty crimes and then there's high-level crimes. What are they? So what? He said he committed crimes while he worked for Bad Boy Enterprises. A lot of us have done crimes while we worked our fucking job. Was it enough to get you a RICO? What you got going on? You see what I'm saying? So what are the crimes? So what he said that shit, that wasn't no bombshell for the defense. What were the fucking crimes that he committed while working for Bad Boy? Because if it wasn't to the level of a RICO charge, what are we talking about?
Because now you have the criminal enterprise and people acting and committing crimes under that.
What is it? What are the levels that you're on? If it was somewhere like, oh, okay, Diddy, I don't know. He had me go down there and, you know what I'm saying, extort somebody out of some money because Diddy felt like he owed them money, and if they didn't give it to me, I was going to break their leg. Now, that's something you can start looking at. Oh, okay, yeah, Diddy might have been RICOing. But if it's some bullshit, you know what I'm saying, like some low-level petty drug crimes or something, Diddy had me go pick up a couple of ounces or something for a freak off, that's not RICO. That you can maybe try to indict somebody on a state charge, but on a RICO, you got to start getting up into the kilograms and tons to fuck with RICO charges. Like, what are the crimes? Was he somebody that actually transported people across state lines against their will? and Diddy made him do that, then that's the ex trafficking. But if he drove to go pick up a prostitute because Diddy said, go pick that hoe up over there, she's coming with me tonight, we finna have a freak off, where's the crime? Other than he paid for a prostitute. Like, what are y'all saying? Where's the crime? What
that criminal enterprise? They weren't expecting
anybody can say that shit. I can say a lot of shit. Anybody can say any goddamn thing. That doesn't make it true. And it doesn't make it to the level of whatever y'all are trying to persecute somebody to that extent of. What's the fucking crime? I want to know what the crime is. Maybe it is a RICO, but y'all ain't said nothing.
answer.
Did they say what he did?
Thank
No,
you.
they moved on.
Hello. Did they say what it was?
That's from it because that is a bombshell. They asked the
What's
question.
the bombshell? If you don't drop the bomb, how you gonna drop Diddy in jail? How? The bomb is when you actually put that nigga in. That's the boom. If you don't fucking say what it is, then it's nothing. You have nothing to think about because there's nothing to go on.
The answer to.
Which is a cardinal sin for any defense attorney. You don't know the answer, don't ask a question because you get stuff like that that could bury your case.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Brian Buckmeyer.
Why? What do you mean? If he was to say, okay, Diddy made me do XYZ, say it was the level of a RICO, prove it. Prove that Diddy made you, as a part of this syndicate, underground enterprise of a RICO charge, made you do things like this. Show us the fucking proof of what that looks like. You can say anything out of your mouth, but where's the proof at? That would have been the boom for the defense to be like, told you y'all didn't have shit that nobody can substantiate and put no evidence on it, that Diddy did these things that y'all are trying to say to put him in fucking federal prison.
I want to thank you both for being with us. Coming up, will Diddy take the stand? We're answering some of the top questions people are asking about the trial online when we come back.
Okay, so we got Georgie Murray on Kick saying, I love your Kick channel already. You got a few engagers and followers. Keep up the good work. Contact me if you want to collab. I'll think about it, Georgie. Thank you for chatting and becoming a sipper. Make sure you go over there and follow me on Kick, okay? So where are we with this, y'all? I also wanted to throw in here while we are just, catching up on day 10 through 12, Diddy's daughters graduated from high school. So between all the myths of him and everything else that is going on, they graduated from high school. Okay, that is a big accomplishment, especially considering what they've been under this past year. But yes, they did graduate from high school. We're going to tap in, take a look at what that looked like for Diddy's daughters during their graduation of 2025.
Jesse Combs. Delilah Combs.
A major milestone for the Combs twins, their high school graduates.
We are so proud. You guys don't understand because this is
graduating from high school this year amongst the Diddy trial. Okay, they are graduating high school while their dad's in prison, or not prison yet, or hopefully, if he's not found convicted, then he'll go to prison. Whatever. Amongst all this mess that Diddy's doing, okay?
a big deal.
Jesse and Delilah's friends and fam capturing the moment on Instagram, all to celebrate their achievement. Now, this all comes amid their dad, Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing sex trafficking and racketeering trial.
We know that Sean Combs' twin daughters were having their prom celebration this weekend. Now as we're in week 2, not the same presence. There are a few people that are obviously there in support of Combs.
After being courthouse fixtures week 1, the girls sat out week 2 to wrap up their senior year on the West Coast, as Diddy maintains his innocence back east.
With each witness, we get a better understanding and picture of what the prosecution is saying, because, you know, these are their witnesses that they're calling, but the defense always has this opportunity to sow doubt into the credibility of each person, or just try to make a case, obviously, for Sean Combs. So it becomes this sort of back and forth, and the details some days are very interesting, fascinating, and honestly sometimes hard to even report on, but I think we just are all waiting to see where is this going? You know, and I hear a lot of people commenting, where's the sex trafficking? Where's the racketeering? And when you hear that a trial is going to last this long, 6 to 8 weeks, it's going to be a bit of a slow, you know, road to the very end.
All right, that was Diddy's daughters, Delilah, and the other one, I don't remember her name, so sorry. They're twins. Diddy's twin girls graduated from high school this year, 2025. Okay, so let's get into some more Diddy updates and hear what people are predicting during and following the trial. Remember, when you guys come in, let's check out TMZ. Remember, when you come into the chat, the room, please get your teacups up, get them filled up, and like and subscribe. We are working through into the afternoon on the Diddy day 10 through 12. Now we're going to tap in with TMZ and hear what they've been having to say over the last couple of days. And yeah, let's listen. Whenever my internet gets up.
TMZ Live, Harvey Levin here. Charles here. So, allegations this morning in the Diddy trial of dirty pool on the part of prosecutors for trying to poison the jury.
So dirty, according to Diddy's defense, that they demanded a mistrial in this whole case, which, as you can imagine, caused quite an uproar in court and a lot of arguing about this. It all has to do with Kid Cudi's car and the fire that was set off in his Porsche. The investigation into all of this.
So what happened here is that you know that there was testimony about a burglary at Kid Cudi's house.
About the month before the fire.
Right. And that that Diddy and an assistant had basically broken into Cudi's house, found a gift that Cudi was going to give Cassie. And there's evidence Diddy was there. The Cudi took a fingerprint from
the investigators did.
Well, Cudi gave the fingerprint to the investigator.
Right.
It was a fingerprint that was on the door, and it was of an unknown woman, but they had a fingerprint. What the prosecution tried to do was insinuate that they could take that fingerprint and tie it to a fingerprint that was on the arson attack on the Porsche. Well, guess what? Cudi's fingerprint that he took off that door
was
Gone.
was destroyed.
Gone.
At some point, that after it was in police custody, that was destroyed. And when the prosecution raised that during the testimony from an arson investigator, the defense said, hold on a second. It's like the scene is, wait, you're out of order. This whole court's out of order. They were very upset and felt that this was grounds for a mistrial because they had, what they felt is the prosecutors were insinuating Diddy somehow had something to do with the destruction.
Which is sort of like losing the Cassie video in 2016 at the Intercontinental.
Yes. Yes.
There's two big issues with presenting this kind of testimony to the jury. One, they might think you're trying to draw a connection where you have none. You have one set of fingerprints and you're testifying about another set of fingerprints that you can't actually connect. The other problem is this had only happened around 8 months before that evidence was destroyed. So it plants the seed, according to Diddy's defense team, that Diddy was somehow behind the destruction of evidence, maybe paid off an LAPD official. And you remember during the jury selection process, a lot of people said that they thought Diddy was a rich and powerful person who could make things go away.
Yeah, and the defense is saying the prosecution is playing into that conspiracy theory that maybe is already out there in the jury pool.
Yeah, but there's no evidence that Diddy paid anybody off or anything.
No, which is their
point.
Make them sort of prejudice against Diddy, just the mere thought in front of them. It's hard to unring the bell.
It seems like a small, insignificant thing that the defense is saying.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's insignificant.
No, because clearly people think that. I mean,
the
there's
rule for the prosecution in this is like a nothing thing.
Yeah, well, you're right that the judge just said, "Hey, jurors, don't listen to that testimony." Struck the testimony, but didn't declare a mistrial.
Let's hold on. Get real for a second. What the prosecution is saying or insinuating, according to the defense, is Diddy knew those fingerprints were going to incriminate him via some associate and connect him to the arson and then the burglary.
And by the way, there was also testimony from an LAPD officer that the car, they had a photo and they saw the car that was, or an SUV that was parked in front of the house led back to, it was owned by Bad Boy. So again,
but that's at least hard evidence. But the insinuation is that Diddy destroyed the fingerprint because it incriminated him in the arson and connected him to the burglary.
I have a very important question.
It's an
I have a very important question.
There's reasonable doubt here.
It is an insinuation, but here's my question. Did the LAPD officer offer any explanation why evidence from an investigation that was less than a year old, that was at that point
was
7, 8
destroyed?
months, why was it destroyed? And I'm not insinuating anything, but if I'm on the jury, I want to know why was it destroyed?
Well, let me tell you, they watch CS.
Point, though, Charles. It's a great point, because why was evidence that's so fresh destroyed? This isn't a cold case from 25 years ago where you're clearing out the decks for new evidence coming in. This is a very fresh case.
Why was it destroyed?
Yeah, the arson investigator who mentioned that they were destroyed, he said it was strange that they were. He would have needed to sign off on something like that. And somebody went around him and did this.
So when was it this? What year? This is important. What year was it destroyed? And what year was the? And what year? And what year? And what year was the arson?
The arson was January. Was in January of 2012, and the burglary was December of 2011. So
okay,
about 8 months.
So here's the thing, and people in the jury watch CSI. The statute of limitations had not run.
This is very true.
The statute of limitations had not run. Why would they destroy evidence when it's still a live case that can be prosecuted if they get more evidence, especially when it involves a celebrity as big as Diddy? Why would something that critical
Why do
be
I
destroyed?
feel like, as you are speaking right now, you are making the defense's case for a mistrial?
I'm saying that it's powerful.
Yeah, it is very powerful. I don't...
So who destroyed it and why?
Well, by the way, the bottom line here is the judge refused to declare a mistrial. There was no mistrial, but the judge did do something that I always think is interesting in a trial. The judge said that the jury gave them instructions they cannot consider any of the testimony about the fingerprints, either at the burglary or at the fire.
That's the biggest crock of all.
So what? So the jury's going to act like they.
The biggest crock of all trials is telling the jury, don't listen to something you just heard, but disremember it, expunge it from your brain. It's not practical, but it's something the judge has to do.
Plus, the defense made such a big stink about it that you got to think, oh, why are they raising this?
Exactly. It makes it even
oh,
worse.
something must have happened. They got rattled.
People's brains are not like an Etch-a-Sketch. And the reality here is that on appeal, this could come up because, look, and look, I think it is interesting. Why was it destroyed? Because, look, a lot of people are going to say that Diddy also destroyed the original video at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. So if he's capable of doing that, did he destroy the fingerprint, or did he pay somebody off, to destroy the fingerprint in 2011 or 12? And, look, there's no proof that happened, but how does the jury
not to
how does the
make
jury
that
not
leap?
That's right.
How do you
That
bring
is
it up
right.
on appeal if you don't know what the answer is?
No, you bring up the prejudice to their client.
Yeah,
what
that's
you do is
exactly
you
right.
preserved it for appeal, and you say the judge overruled me, didn't declare a mistrial. That was an error, and now they have a grounds for appeal. I'd be interested to see if he loses and gets convicted, what they do with this.
I'm Brooke. I'm from the UK. I think the defense team is just scrambling. I think it's clearly obvious. Diddy is a powerful man. It's within his power to get these things done behind the scenes. People have known about him for years. There's been rumors for years. I'm not even in the country, and I've known there's rumors about this man for years. I think he's clearly guilty. We've seen it. The public knows it. Let's just get justice done and get justice for these women, please.
Well, there's something called a trial, right? And you kind of want to go through the trial
Skip all that.
before you
Guilty.
Yeah, you don't want to skip over the trial part.
That's not how it works in this country, or even in yours.
We have sort of trial-related news.
Yes. Good news for Cassie. We broke the story yesterday that she was in a hospital in the labor unit, and what's supposed to happen in a labor unit happened. She had the baby, her third child, with Alex Fine, and the baby was born sometime Tuesday afternoon, late Tuesday afternoon. And we're told that although the baby arrived slightly early, maybe like within days, mom and child are doing just fine. We do not know the gender yet.
Do not know the gender.
She was the star witness in this Diddy case just a couple weeks ago, and even a judge had noticed that she was ready to pop, and he noted that they were going to limit her testimony because they were concerned she was going to be giving birth any day. So at least baby is here, baby is healthy, and all is well.
Okay, we are going to move on.
All right, that was some updates from TMZ. I think we're gonna just keep the ball rolling with TMZ, y'all. Seeing what's going on. Then we're gonna move on over to US versus Diddy. TMZ presents throughout the entire trial, right? Okay.
And furthermore, you had the LAPD officer testifying that those fingerprints from Cuddy's house disappeared, that they were destroyed. Hey everybody, Charles here, and day 11 of Diddy's trial brought a bombshell in terms of a mistrial, or at least the defense made a motion for a mistrial, one that was shot down, but not before some very tense moments in court. So we're going to get to the mistrial because what it's really about is the destruction of evidence, and the defense says that the prosecution played a little dirty by trying to make the jury think that Diddy paid off cops or someone in law enforcement. We're going to get to all that in a moment, but let's start with kind of, I don't want to say comic relief, because certainly he was testifying about very serious things, but Cassie's friend, Deontay Nash, who was also her celebrity stylist, he also did styling for Diddy, provided a little lighthearted moments just in the way he described a few things. There was a photo that was a prosecution exhibit. There's a photo of Deontay in some glasses. There's a blue background. It looks like a very stylish kind of headshot. And they asked him, is this an accurate depiction of what you looked like back in the time period we were talking about? And he said, not even close. The prosecutor said, it's a glamour photo? He says, yes, I look amazing. So that drew some laughter in the courtroom. So that was the lighthearted part. Then he got into what he witnessed, and that clearly was not lighthearted. Talked about seeing Cassie being abused. He talked about what was asked what Diddy would call Cassie when he was around them. Remember, he spent a lot of time around both of them, styling them for different events, for award shows. And he was asked what names Diddy used for Cassie. He said, bitch, hoe, CC, baby girl, and slut. The prosecutor said, how would Cassie react to these names? And Deontay said she would be very sad. He talked about a moment when there was an award show. This was in 2014, and he had styled her for this. He thought, in his words, said she thought she looked amazing. And then he said Diddy came in and clearly disagreed. Diddy grabbed him, grabbed Deontay, he said, lifted him up, and basically demanded that he change her look altogether, which he then did. So testifying to threats being issued here, like, you didn't get this right, physically shakes him up and says, do a better job. So he testifies about that. Now, in fact, yes, it was actually the Oscars, I should say. That was an Oscars after party. And he said that Diddy picked him up and threatened him, and then he changed Cassie's hair, and I guess everything was okay at that point. So that was Deontay Nash. And by the way, at the end of the day, he was being cross-examined by Diddy's defense. He's going to be back on the stand to start the day tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. Now, the big bombshell, as I said at the top here, was about this motion for a mistrial. Diddy's defense took issue with the testimony of two people, LAPD officer Christopher Ignacio and LA Fire Department officer Lance Jimenez. They were both testifying about evidence having to do with Kid Cudi. Here we are again, 2 days of testimony after Kid Cudi, and all of this still keeps coming up. What they were testifying about were their investigations into the break-in at Cudi's house, and then also the arson, the car bombing of Cudi's Porsche. And the LAPD officer said that the only evidence they collected from Kid Cudi's house, sorry about that, get a little tongue-tied. So the only evidence they collected from Kid Cudi's house were two things. The officer says when he pulled up to the house, he saw a black Escalade pulling away from the house, and he noticed the license plate. He didn't stop the car because at that time he didn't know there was a crime that had been committed, but he took note of the license plate. Later, he ran that license plate and said it did come back to Bad Boy Records. That's one thing. The other thing, and what's interesting about this, is that evidence was not collected by police. It was collected by Cudi. He said that there were fingerprints taken from the door, from a door handle at Cudi's place. But that evidence, those fingerprints were collected by Cudi and then turned over to police. But he testified about those fingerprints. Then you have the fire department officer testifying about a fingerprint that they got from the Porsche. And he never connects the dots, but it certainly was made to seem to the jury like the fingerprints collected at the car might match the fingerprints collected at Cudi's house. The reality is they didn't. They were not a match. And furthermore, you had the LAPD officer testifying that those fingerprints from Cudi's house disappeared, that they were destroyed. Now, why they were destroyed, the LA Fire Department officer said, I don't know why it would have been destroyed. That's the kind of thing that I would have to approve before it was done. And once that testimony came out, well, you had the defense standing up and saying, this is prosecutorial misconduct. We want a mistrial declared. And that started a whole discussion about why they thought this was a mistrial. They think, the defense, Diddy's attorneys think that the prosecutors brought up these fingerprints, knowing that they were not a match, but brought them up just to raise that in the jury's mind that maybe it is, and that's the evidence that says Diddy, one, broke into Cuddy's house and also was responsible for for firebombing his car. Remember, they don't match. So the defense is saying, look, prosecutors know they don't match, but they brought that up anyway. And further, then they bring up this thing about the fingerprints from Cuddy's house being destroyed. They're making it sound as if Diddy maybe had something to do with this, that Diddy potentially paid off someone to destroy that evidence.
Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay dipping.